All right, welcome to the show. Hey, today we're talking yoga, transformation, mindset, fitness, positivity, and more. And man, I've got the right person today to talk about these things. I got Matt Hancock here. He's the owner and teacher at Hancock Powerfit, and I'm ready to tap into his lifelong fitness fanatical experience and perspective. Matt, welcome to the show, sir.
Woo! Glad to be here, brother. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And can't wait to see where this goes, actually.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. Hey, first off, where are you located? You're in Illinois somewhere, right? Like, give me hit the map with me.
Okay. I am strategically placed 90 miles west of Chicago because I don't mind Chicago visiting, but I do not want to live near the war zone. And I'm 90 miles central, right down Route 80. If you took 80, it could take you all the way to California. So
Oh wow.
that's
Okay, okay, Central Illinois. So like what like township air like townships like you're on the East Coast. Like
the county.
yeah, county.
LaSalle County.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very good.
right.
I've been north of Chicago before. I think I've been northwest of Chicago. Doesn't Walgreens have a headquarters out that way?
I think it's in the suburbs, probably. I
In the
would imagine.
suburbs area. All right. Well, I can't remember. All right. So you've been out there your entire life, or did you move out
Yeah,
there? Or
yeah, I'm from this area. Yep.
okay.
You know where Starved Rock State Park is? Anybody? It's the number one tourist attraction in Illinois. I'm probably about 10 miles west of it. So
Okay. Very good. Very good, man. And you're a fitness enthusiast. You're a yoga guy. You're the powerlifting person. Like take me through like what got you into the world of health and fitness?
making all the wrong decisions at a young age. I
Okay.
started hanging out with the wrong people at like 9 years old. I was drinking and smoking at 9. I was, doing pot probably by 14, 15. We were just bored, stupid people on the street. But the group of guys I hung up with, that's how they were. I didn't know anything different because
Mm,
my a factory worker, and he was a guy that would work hard all day, drink hard all night, every day, and that's what I saw. I saw that parents were together forever, but was it good? I don't know. I was a baby of 4, so my brothers were like all-star baseball players. Everybody was like, and I was like, God, I'm gonna get a trophy someday. I wasn't as good, I'd be honest with you. Can I cuss on this?
oh yeah. Yeah. Cuss all
Okay.
you want.
I kind of fucking sucked on some of those, like baseball.
Here we go. The cannon's open.
I was the best wiffle ball fucking player there was,
Yeah.
But no, those guys were great ball players. And then, if people out there understand, if you're the baby in the family, you're trying to, hey, look at me. You're trying to get that the I don't know, the accolades for doing something cool, like a trophy. Like shit meant something back then.
Yeah.
But that's how I started up into the bad side, because I was like, I'm going to get attention on the other side because no one's paying attention to me. Get it? So and what I started doing is I went to a gym that was called Hammer's Gym. And there was this barbershop with a 30 by 30 room in the back with all these homemade machines and all this shit. And every time I went and get a haircut, I would hear guys back there grunting and groaning and slamming all these weights down and shit. I was like, what's going on back there? And I'm like 15. And I look back and he's like, $10 a month. You want to train? Go for it. So I started training with those guys back in the mid 80s. I'm thinking I was going to get into bodybuilding. I was ripped. I loved it. The feeling I had, that was my introduction to like fitness, right around 15 years old, And then I got a girl pregnant at 18, joined the military. Life just went on a crazy path, and ended up getting divorced after the military. This is during Saudi Gulf War.
Okay.
And then in the 20s, I kind of went off and didn't do shit. To be honest with you, I was like, you're raising kids and you're doing all this kind of stuff like that. Divorce, and it wasn't until my dad passed away at age 29. I was 29 years old. He passed away from cancer. I seen him, all the stuff I just talked about, caught up with him. Heart disease, all the cancer, and when he died in my arms 20 years ago, 20 years ago this month, which is ironic. That was my turning point, and I said, I'm going to get in shape, like really good shape. So I started training all the time. I started becoming that guy, back then at 29 years old. For the last 20 years, it's been pretty hardcore. And I don't want to over talk because you might have more questions coming up, but that's the start of it, you know.
No,
I'm
yeah,
done.
that gets us started. So then your fitness training, I mean, 20 years ago, lifting was kind of the thing. It's guys like you, guys like me, I'm 5'11", 200 pounds. I lift all the time.
Right.
I enjoy yoga, but there's not much of a stigma for me getting into yoga today. It's very commonplace. It's very, culturally discussed. There's not a lot of like mysticism around like what it is and where to go to find it. Did you find yoga 20 years ago during this journey, or did you like ease into it? How'd you find it?
What I did was, the hell, I can't think how many years ago, probably 17, 18 years ago, I hurt my back, and I didn't realize it was my back because I thought I had a bad knee, and I'm getting ready to go in for knee surgery. Something's wrong with my knee, but it was actually my low back. That sacroiliac joint was out for 2 years, and if that ever shifts where your hips are at, it's hard to explain, obviously, but if you know it, research it. If you ever have pain on one side of your body, there's something out of line. So I heavily believe in my friend, the chiropractor. You know, I go to him weekly just to make sure I'm in line. People always say, "Oh, they're all quacks." I said, "You might have some quacks, you might have some doctors, or you might have fitness trainers, you might have health coaches that are quacks. Guess what? That's the way it is. But you got to have someone you can trust because your spine holds everything together." So when I fell, that shifted and put me in a 2-year plan of I got to find some help. So I started researching Bikram yoga. So I started doing that hot yoga stuff. And then I started doing it at home, like different versions of it, like 15 minutes in the morning just to get myself limber. It helped a little bit, but my knee was still killing me. And then I finally went to the chiropractor and got that straightened out. And then I was continually doing the yoga stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm losing weight, because I wasn't like,
Yeah.
my muscles felt like they were atrophying because I was doing, just holding poses and stuff. And it's fantastic. Don't get me, I'm not judging any style of yoga because I think it's all fantastic, mentally, physically, spiritually. But I was Googling online there and I said, the weightlifting and yoga, and then Diamond Dallas Page showed up on there. And I'm like,
DDP.
it was yoga for regular guys. I saw the videos and all that. I'm like, and then he started advertising DDP Yoga. This is 2012, middle 2012. I'm like, oh. I waited. I just drug my feet because I'm like, I don't want to waste the money. It's $100, you know what I'm saying? And but I'm glad I did. I bought it. I caved in, bought it, and he called me because he calls everybody who buys his product still. To this day, he still does that. And he said, "Bro, thanks for buying the product. We talked for 5 minutes. It blew me away." So basically, long story short, he inspired the shit out of me. So then I wasn't on Facebook yet because I didn't want to get into all that Facebook stuff back then. I'm old fashioned because I'm, half century old. But anyway, so
Yeah.
I don't want to go farther than that. But with that, the inspiration, I was like following his shit on all his videos, Jake the Snake Roberts, all those things really inspired me. I'm like, God, those guys are transforming. I never even thought about that stuff my whole life about helping somebody. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
you're too busy in your ego and your own shit that you're not even paying attention to anybody. But when I saw him
Well,
transform people, cool. Yeah, he can do nose push-ups. Well, fuck, I can do more than him. So I did. I started doing all those little things he put on Facebook and YouTube was big. And I would send him the videos and he would be, "Dude, you're fucking awesome. I want to meet you." He goes, "I'm coming up to Chicago." And he came up to the McCormick place where they have those C2E2s,
yeah,
one of those.
the huge events. Yeah.
And him and I immediately connected. And he's like, "Dude, we're going to do the workout in the other room." There's like 100 people in there. And I always tell the story, it was amazing. I fell in love with it because it was different than yoga. It was yoga, old school calisthenics, all that stuff blended together with rehab. And I thought, man, this is so awesome because I needed it to help heal my back, right? So I needed, and also to keep my muscle. And I didn't want to do 10 workouts. So I talked to him afterwards after we did the thing. And I said, I really want to teach this shit. He's like, "I don't have anything out right now, but I'm working on a plan right now and I'll let you know." So like 3-4 months later, he said that he had a plan in place and he notified me right away and he notified a bunch of people and he put it out on, Facebook. I finally joined Facebook
There you
and I
go.
became connected. And then I immediately had 3,000 fans because I was like connecting with all his people and all people, everybody. I would just friend, because I wanted to connect because I was such an introvert when it came to things. I needed to get out there. If I was going to do this, I was going to have to, really give it all. And this is my success, my Rocky story. So I went to a YMCA and I went, hey, got my local YMCA. I said, I need to do this training. It's going to have to be video, and I need some students to deal with. Can you, they say, we're going to give you some of our trainers, and they'll play the role as the students. Okay. So we mocked it out. I did my testing, and I ended up getting done certified before the test was even done. I even helped them finish off, to answer the questions at the end of the test. It wasn't even, that's how fresh I was off the beat. And I was his first trainer. So, and then I just took off like a bat out of hell. At the beginning of the year, it was January. I had 50 people. I had doctors, lawyers, you name it, all medical people, all high profile people, because those are the ones that were really interested in it. They wanted to check me out. They heard some things about it. Next thing you know, I had next month 100 people, 150. And by summer of that year, I had 500 students. I had to get a gymnasium. I'm in this building right now. This is my training room, but I have a gymnasium that's 5,000 square feet. Okay. It's an old school in LaSalle. It's called the Grove Center. It's got a lot of training rooms here. But I had that gym was full. Every night there would be a line of people getting in. I'd have 100 people per class, and I was teaching DDP yoga and rocking. And it was the most amazing feeling. But I did it for about a year and a half like that. And it was, like I said, the transformations we just talked about. I had guys that were 500 pounds. We did all that transformation stuff, losing 200 pounds, getting off medication. The main thing wasn't about weight loss though, because everybody's always like, well, how much weight can I lose? It's like, no, you got to fix this first. This is the first thing you got to fix.
Yeah, between the ears, right?
And that's because anybody can get addicted to stuff, like addicted to losing weight. You can get addicted to anything. But if you're addicted to that feeling, what happens when you plateau and you ain't got your shit together?
Oh yeah.
Right back in that fucking hole, and that's being inexperienced at that time, didn't understand that. And if I got them to that point, let's just say you lost those 60 pounds, but I helped you get there. And then after the 60 pounds, you just said, fuck, I'm going to go back to just going back to the bar and drinking and eating and being a dumbass, right? I mean, seriously, your mental mush mind goes back to normal, right? Well, I didn't see I'm coming, because I've taught 10,000 people, right, in a decade almost. And I've taught over 11,000 classes, and I keep track, but if I had 11,000 students, still, it'd be amazing, right? So I a lot less people in a smaller contained area now. I'm happier with it, if that makes any sense. I got away from DDP yoga, just to do my own thing, and he respected that. We had a moment about it, but it was my fault. It was the ego again. We kind of had a little, breakup, kind of, as we say, but we got back together and we're friends, and friends for life now. We talk occasionally. So, but that's that in a nutshell. If it wasn't for Diamond Dallas Page, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and I want to talk about DDP for a second. Just touching on it. One, as a kid, I was a tremendous Diamond Dallas Page fan. Like I was into the WCW. More specifically, there was a point in time where DDP teamed up with Karl Malone.
I remember that. Yep.
And against like Dennis Rodman and Hulk Hogan, I think. And Karl Malone has a house up in Alaska. I was growing up in Alaska at the time. So I met Karl Malone like kind of in that off season. And it was such a thing I followed. It was around the same time, or maybe a little more before or after World War III on pay-per-view. DDP went against Bret Hart, defended the title. Like it was the only pay-per-view that I ever got as a kid for the WCW. So it was like, that was my guy, right? And then I saw, I can't remember if it was on Rogan or if it was somewhere else, but I saw him talking about it. And then I worked with a guy named Nathan, who actually did it, who actually did the DDP yoga and lost 90 pounds or something, somewhere along those lines, 80 or 90 pounds, if I'm remembering correctly. And he was so enthusiastic about it. And I've never done it, but I've recommended it to a lot of people just based on the fact that, I held DDP in such high esteem, as well as just hearing this guy, Nate, go, hey, it was actually pretty easy and straightforward. And it was made for me. Like, this is not just things to do like to get flexible. This is things to do to be strong, to be like a whole person, like mechanically. And I was so fired up about that. What maybe take me back to kind of that early day of like knowing that there was an an open place in a saturated market. Like the fitness market is so saturated, and then here's this strength yoga that's done by these like buff guys that are like that had to be such an interesting time.
Well, in our area, we don't have, it's a smaller rural area. So there's not a lot of yoga teachers in general. There was a handful at the time back then.
Yeah.
There was like one or two yoga students, but they're all separated by 20 miles. And no one ever cared about that shit. So I'm like, this is an opportunity for a guy to start a business. And in that field, it's like, I want to be number one. I want to be known for that. And it was it's your ego. I mean, I'm telling you right now, it's your ego. Because why else would you do it? If I would have told you, I'm going to go in it because I want to humbly take care of everybody, you are so full of shit. Okay. At first, it is your ego until you learn and you get burned. I always tell people that, because we're driven by that feeling, that dopamine hit, that somebody likes your page, someone, you know what I'm saying? The girl winks at you. All that shit is the same chemical hit, right? It's like hitting cocaine or whatever you're doing. You drink a beer. Oh man, I feel so good. It's the same shit. It's the same addiction. And I got addicted to the feeling, and now it's like, now it's a part of my life now. So now I've transformed. I went down all these other roads. I try to make amends with everything I screwed up, and it's hard to. You're not going to. But when I first started doing that workout, I said, I'm going to own it, just like he's doing it, and to the point of almost, you got to be yourself. And I lost myself. I became Diamond Dallas Page in my location, right? And everybody knew me. Hey, it's DDP's trainer. I was DDP's trainer. I was, DDP Yoga instructor, and it's like, it was never Matt Hancock, and it's his workout, and I respect that, and I honor it, and it's amazing. And if it wasn't for it, I wouldn't be, like I said, I wouldn't be doing it. But I really needed to become myself, if that makes sense.
No,
I mean,
100%. I completely understand. I'm a Brazilian jiu-jitsu athlete, and one of the most difficult things to see and watch is when like an individual will go out and they'll get their black belt under a certain instructor, and then they'll want to go open their own school. And there is always this tension of like, do you have to affiliate or not? What happens? Something that I'm obsessed with is just the concept of mastery. I keep this black belt picture right next to me on my office because I have a deep appreciation for mastery. What do you do once I don't want to say mastered something, but once you've gotten to that like black belt level at something? Do you get to break away from the original entity and start innovating in a way that fills your cup based on the experience that you've built? Do it your way. Do it the different way. Like, mastery is such a tricky thing between the student and the teacher as well, right? And that dynamic. And I'm so glad that it sounds like you and DDP have a healthy dynamic today. But I totally understand that kind of, that path to navigate. What an interesting time, but a beautiful story.
You know what I'm saying? We're too much alike.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I mean, yes, is he famous? Yes. Has he done a lot? Yes. Is he a star? Yes. But you get to the age I'm at now, after this time, you really think you're thankful. You're not thankful in the moment because you're like, it's me, I'm doing all this. But really, you're using someone's workout. But I performed it so well, which made it, and I'm not bragging because I'm just saying that's how I'm doing it across the country, across the world. I got a following, it's cool. But I hooked up with Brian Kest, the guy who created Power Yoga. Okay, ever heard Brian Kest?
I have not.
He owns. Google him up. He's a great guy. He's the guy who's been doing it about 45 years. He's the guy that coined the phrase Power Yoga.
Okay.
And Diamond Dallas Page, when he hurt his back, his wife was doing Brian Kest videos, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Because he wanted to start getting more rehab. So he started doing yoga, and that's where DDP Yoga all came from. Is Brian Kest's Power Yoga, and Dallas started adding the rehab and the push-ups and all that stuff like that. So that's DDP Yoga was born from Brian Kest. So I thought back in 2015, I was like, I got to connect with Brian Kest because he's the main source. Okay. Yeah. And Brian's advice was a great teacher will always allow his student to teach his own stuff. And I never forgot that. And I said, Dallas says it to this day now too. He's like, he knows Aunt Maddie's doing his own shit. Respect, he's very respectfully understands. And there are there days I do some DDP yoga? Absolutely. But I have permission to, because I am certified still, to do that. But I don't call it mine.
Yeah.
That,
totally makes sense. Totally makes sense, man. And I just want to be, I got so many questions for you, my brother. So I gotta pivot a little bit, but I appreciate you giving that story. And I think it's an important thing to contemplate. Like, I mean, just really kind of hooking into that is that student teacher dynamic, that emotional baggage that's associated with, stumbling upon something and then growing your understanding of it, and then understanding what you like and understanding what the people that are closest to you need, and building that blend and that mix. Like, it's such a beautiful thing. And I love what you're doing. And I love the journey that you took me through in order for you to get there.
I appreciate being on here, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about transformation though, because you touched on this a little bit earlier. You said, one of the things that you did, you were able to impact people. You were able to facilitate this really great fitness experience, this kind of community, this tribe coming together that are built around health. But there's certainly behaviors, there's mindset, there is a connection to self that has to be present in order to sustain any kind of personal growth. It's something I'm familiar with. I lost when I was 29. I took on my physical fitness journey, catalyzed by the fact that I had kids. I had a daughter on the way. I was having trouble just chasing my son around playgrounds, like literally like that guy, that story. Did some keto, did some hot yoga, like got into a shout out to Shelly Howling, who I used to work with, who really made it okay for me to go and do some vinyasa flowing in the heat and getting after it. Something I still do to this day. I found Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I found things I'm passionate about, and I built my life around those things so that when I eat, I'm eating healthy because I like to stay active and I have these sports that I really enjoy doing. So I figured out for myself a way to mostly sustain that progress. Talk a little bit about when you started making the pivot to saying, I need to go deeper with individuals in order to help them understand what it's like to sustain this progress, to make this change, to do this transformation.
I'll try to weave it into that 2015 year.
Yeah.
That was a transformational year, and I'll tell you why. Well, with all of that, and the kind of departing from DDP Yoga, it was a transformation. When you change, you change. It's like when you have an enlightenment. Yeah. Well, you're going to use a yoga word, enlightenment. I mean, was I enlightened? No, not maybe, but like I say, as we age, your workout's going to change. I mean, 20 years from now, maybe all you're going to do is walk, right? Maybe you're only going to be able to do yoga. Maybe you don't going to be able to lift weights or do jujitsu anymore. All those things change as we age. I don't know how old you are. How old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay, you're 35. So at 35, I was benching about 300, 400 pounds. I mean, I was lifting heavy. I was about 225 at 5'9". That's a big dude. Real strong, but my joints at 49 don't like that shit anymore. So I lift, it's lighter, it's dumbbells, it's stuff like that, But anyway, I don't want to go off on that rant. But that's how you change in the next 15 years for you is going to be different. Same as me, probably, because if you're that hardcore, but here's the thing: you already have your rehab protection yoga, right? That's your help. It's going to help you to continue to do that kind of cool stuff, right?
Yeah, I didn't have that.
Yeah, I beat the shit out of myself and then didn't have no rehab, nothing. But 2015, my son passed away of a heroin overdose. Okay. Yeah, it was a life-changing thing. He was 23 years old. I was teaching a class one Saturday morning, and after class, I got this phone call that I don't even remember how I got home. I was traveling over a long bridge, and I just remember getting to the other side of the bridge, and I didn't even know how I got across the bridge, and I lost it. I felt like part of me died, that day. And it was a Saturday, October 24th. And then Sunday, I was in shock all day. Monday, I said, fuck this. I'm going back to work because that's the only thing that helps me. When I go through something tragic, I don't burrow in a hole. I pop out and shine. I have to. I got to go help somebody, right? That's how I am. So losing him was really tough, to see that because it was a shock. And on Monday, I came back. I taught my class. I don't know how I did it, but I taught that first 6 a.m. class. As I was leaving to go outside my gym here, there's a shelter in a park. Okay. So it's cold outside. It's Halloween week. And I look and see something out there. I thought some guy was sitting on a bench. I'm like, what the fuck is that guy doing? It's freezing. It's like 42 degrees out. So I walk out there and I noticed that this person is not sitting on a bench. He's actually hanging from one of the rafters, dead, 19-year-old kid. So I found him leaning into that. It was the worst. It was the worst thing you could ever imagine. But I'm glad it was me because I was already as low as a human can go. When you lose a child, I don't care who you are. That'll change your life. It'll change who you are. But I sprung into action, called the police, had all that taken care of. So they would have vigils there. They'd have vigils every night there for months. But I remember bringing water over and just sitting with them and talking to them and just trying to console them. I went to the funeral, all that stuff. Went to 2 funerals that week, one for my son, one for that kid. So it was a real eye opener. And it was tough. I went through about 2 months of just massive guilt and just, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. I was so miserable. My wife at the time didn't understand because, you don't understand till you go through it. Okay. And I remember January of that year, I had a doctor get a hold of me and said, hey, I got a guy for you. Can you help him out? I'm like, all right. What's his problem? He's 70-year-old. I'm so, okay. I'm like, it's getting older now because I'm not used to 70-year-olds,
Yeah.
And he's got Parkinson's. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm up for the challenge, He goes, just do what you can do with them, And I don't know if you've ever heard of rock steady boxing. That's a big thing. Okay.
I have.
So
Yeah.
I already was familiar with that style of stuff, and I never got. And I'm going to praise those guys, okay, because I'm not affiliated with this program anymore. I'm going to praise that program because it's an amazing program for those people across the whole country. If you are a part of Rocksteady, kudos. Those guys, it's a hard job. So what I did no research on Rocksteady boxing. Okay, I took in this guy's name was Roger, one-on-one for 6 weeks. Okay, the guy would drive to my studio, and his wife, 3 days a week, his wife would sit out in the car for the first 2 weeks. And she's like, I don't know what you're doing in there. It's probably worthless, And this was a stick shift car. He couldn't drive for 3 years. He was this is a demanding guy that wanted to do his own shit. You know what I'm saying? Those old guys was like us, like we'll be when we get that old. I'm driving this bitch,
Oh yeah.
But he couldn't do it because his arm, okay? Because he had that shake in that one arm. 6 weeks, after 2 weeks, his wife said, I'm going to join you. This is pretty cool. So she started doing the class. All right. And then 6 weeks later, he was driving his car. I was doing yoga. Okay. Had him doing all the right, left brain stuff. And I learned it all through doing it. I didn't research any of it. None of it. I said, I'm not going to do that to myself. I said, me and you are going to create a program. He's like, I'll do anything you want. He put me in front of all the medical people in all the medical facilities in the area. And he had great results. And next thing you know, I got 30 of these people. And I had to have people come help me. I had volunteers come help me. So we were doing boxing, boom, 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 hitting the bags, hitting the mitts, having them do laps. It became so big that WGN in Chicago did a little story on it. I mean, that's how, it was really, I called it the Hit and to Heal program. It was the coolest thing that ever came out of something tragic in my life. Does that make sense?
Makes
so
sense.
We did it for years. And unfortunately, a lot of those folks got older and they died. They just Parkinson's. It is what it is. And that was one of the reasons why I was like, I don't know if I can continue this because you get attached to those people, brother.
I know exactly how that feels. My first job in Idaho, I worked at a retirement home. I was a wait staff and then eventually a dietary supervisor. And my personality, I'm an extrovert and I love to find out about people. Obviously, that's why podcasting fits into my ecosystem because I'm so curious, genuinely curious in people and their lives. And I spent even time that I wasn't on the clock there, like dancing with old ladies during happy hour, and just spending time with people that had lived good lives, that you know them well enough that their families aren't visiting them all the time and things like that. And you just want to give them a little joy. But the toughest thing was like walking into work on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and seeing like in loving memory of, 8.5 by 11 sitting right when you walk into the dining room that night. You're just like, shit. Or like knowing that I served, close to 30 or 40 people their last meal. Right.
Right.
Did I garnish it? Did we run out of butter pecan ice cream? Like, oh my God, what a dagger. But it's tough because you made an impact, but you're the one who feels the repercussions because they're so close to end of life. It's a wild experience. So I can relate with you, at least in that capacity.
My coolest experience with, when we'll get off of it, because I know there's a lot of stuff you want to cover. Like I said, I have no time frame.
Yeah.
Whatever it is takes, I want people to be inspired, impacted, because I'm so appreciative to be on here. But I had a 90-year-old, I'll never forget, his name was John. He passed away, but he was 90 years old, World War II vet. You don't see those bros anymore.
No.
Oh my God. And he was in a wheelchair and he had the Parkinson's face. It's like a mask, they disappear. And his wife would bring him in and she was a sweetheart. This is a sweet lady. And I'd have a little sitting area for the wives could sit and watch and whatever. And I'm like, let's turn some fucking music up. Like something he can dance to, something that would stir the mind again. So I'm like, John, and everybody in the group is going, John, 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 John. I'm like, holy fuck. I mean, the adrenaline for me, I grabbed his hand. I said, John, you're going to stand your ass up. I got it on video. And he stood up out of his wheelchair. Okay. And I had him leaning against the wall. I said, I want you to do a little dancing. And I turned that music up really loud. And all of a sudden he was just like, his legs were just gyrating. I'm like, oh my God. And his wife's going, he never stands. I'm like, he's standing now. I said, now let's walk over to the punching bag. I want those big round ones, for the uppercut bag. He walks with me step by step over to the bag. I put gloves on him. And he had a keeper that kind of helped him, like an aide. She was behind him. She was just like barely holding his hips, just holding just in case he fell, The wheelchair was behind him. He was punching the punching bag to the music, and everybody just started crying. And I was like, oh my God, it was the most amazing feeling in the world. Can you imagine that? A 90-year-old World War II vet getting one more fight. Holy shit, man. I was like, that was the best day I've ever had doing it. That was my biggest memory of that whole thing.
That's
but then
incredible.
Confidence got so big at home, when old men got to go pee in the middle of the night. John got up in the middle of the night, hit his head. And I think he went to a nursing home after that. And it was like, fuck. His wife's like, well, he's 90 years old. He ain't going to live forever, But I tell the story. I put a little fun on it because it was amazing. Because I know his granddaughter is going to listen to this podcast. So, it's God rest your soul, John. Good dude. Good American soul.
Hey, cheers to John, man. I appreciate that. So you start that, this creation of a program. So, you're definitely not an accidental entrepreneur. You're one of those folks who just enjoys being in that space. You're already operating, you already have the fitness thing, but hey, here's an opportunity to spin up a program based on this experience that you had with an individual. You're serving this market. You start to learn a skill set then on how to make a deeper impact with individuals. How does that cascade into kind of where your business is today and how you're helping people make transformations today?
Well, things were going pretty good until COVID hit, and then boom, the door slammed, and everybody.
Well, hey, could you explain this COVID thing? What are you talking about? There's
it sucked. I had it for 3 with double pneumonia last September, and I did not want to go to the hospital. And I had one of those little oximeters on, and it goes below 90. I'm like, fuck, I was like 82. And I was getting chest x-rays, and I had 3 chest x-rays. And they said, your lungs are going to be, you're not going to be able to do anything if you don't, go back to get a final x-ray. I'm like, I'm done. I've already spent all this money on that shit. I said, I feel better. So what I did, I started walking. 1 block was like a marathon. I don't know if you had COVID.
I did. I did not have the severity that you're describing. But I
100,
did have it pretty bad.
103 temp for 2 weeks. I was frying in my own body. And I thought, fuck. And what it was is how it, and I take vitamins, I work out, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. But I'm about as clean as you can possibly get. It's almost too weird. But I was working too much. I had another job, so I was working crazy shifts, and I got like 3 hours of sleep in a weekend, and my immune system must have went, "We're coming in." Those guys are like, "Age your immune system," and that's what happened. But like I said, the whole COVID, we'll get off COVID, but yeah, that thing impacted my business, impacted everybody's. I mean, obviously, but I bounced back into it again. I'm like, and now we're getting back to almost getting closer to normal numbers for summertime. This fall now with all the shit I've got going on, and like I said, podcasts like this, it just helps. People need to know who you are. And I wouldn't go to I hate to say I'm a trainer. I hate that. A life development coach, pain management coach, like Ray Kashkar says. I've been through a lot of pain, brother. You know what I mean? So all those things I've done has led me to here where I'm at now. Now, would you do a class with me now if you knew more about me?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because I'm being completely transparent. I'm not going, well, I was a bodybuilding champion. Look at my abs. Fuck, I've lost my son. I've lost marriages. I've lost 2 marriages in the past 5 years. I mean, because of my stupid addictions to anything and everything. It could be business, it could be alcohol, it could be. I'm an addictive person, right? But now I have time to work on myself. So any relationship I ever get into, either a friendship or a relationship, I'm looking at it from a different viewpoint now. I'm like, well, I ain't doing that again because you fucked that up.
Yeah.
Can't even say sorry because it's like you just wasted years of someone else's life because you weren't fixed. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's there's certainly an ability to impact others with knowledge that you have. I think I don't think that we have enough reverence for the fact that teachers are on their own journey as well.
Oh,
Right.
oh,
And
yeah.
it's a thing. It's not, as long as you're not coming from a place of superiority or authority or judgment, you tend to you tend to get grace from people with your own experience, and then being able to provide them the things that you're struggling on today, and still be in a position of being a teacher and instructor. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's like I said, healing. You're healing with the people you're working with, and if it wasn't for, oh my God, I don't know, man. I think I would probably be an alcoholic or not here anymore.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for my son, he's 23. I don't know, man. I can't tell you where I'd be.
Truth, man. Well, you're doing, one of the things, as I was doing my preparation to have you on today, you're doing some cool stuff with a gentleman by the name of Wade. What do you got going? What do you got going with Wade right now?
Well, I don't know, man. I tell you what, I was busy. It's been a rough year. Once again, I kind of talked about that, a little personal stuff going on, but we're coming out of that strong. But no, Wade got a hold of me about a year ago and he kept saying, yeah, I really want to work out with you, man. I'm like, and my wife at the time, of course, is skeptical because she never experienced that because she wasn't with me when I was really doing those transformations, because there's a lot of work that goes into that shit. It's not just a workout, it's a lifestyle change, and you have to be on that journey with these people. So I told him, I said, nah, I'm just not ready yet. I'll get a hold of you. And I finally said, fuck this. I got to help this dude. I said, and we've been friends on Facebook, but we really have become friends now. Like I said, he was 600 pounds probably at 6'6", beginning of the year probably. Maybe I might be off a little bit, but when he came to me, it was 5'33", and I said, "What is your why?" And I have a video on my YouTube, and I wanted to get documentation of where we're at. I said, I'm a friend helping a friend. This is not about a workout. I said, after the first thing we did together, I realized that this was not a training session. This was a life-saving session. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I made a video thing. I asked him, what is your why? He goes, my 4 children. He almost started crying. He's got 4 little ones. He's 41 years old. He's beat up. He's got bad knees. He just had some cortisone injections, but the specialist did say, thank God, he can work out with me, And speaking of the devil, Diamond Dallas Page just texted me.
What's up, Diamond? Yeah, yeah.
He might watch this later anyway. He's
Dude, what an honor that would be for me, man. That's wild.
gonna let that slide. I'll answer him later. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's Diamondale's page. Who
Yeah.
cares?
No. Yeah.
Anyway, so he did. He gave me his why. You know, that was the biggest thing when I would ask anybody. I mean, because if you have a strong why, you're gonna knock walls down. You're gonna knock anybody out of your way. I don't care if it's a family member that says you can't do it, because a lot of people will have spouses that are just negative shit, you know, and they'll continue to buy Milky Ways, candy bar, all that bullshit. When you're trying to heal yourself, you know what I'm saying? When you have a person who's 600 pounds, they eat because of the mental, you know. If I have a bowl of fucking ice cream, it's because I'm like, I just did 4 workouts today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna treat myself. Gosh darn it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's that healthy balance. But there's, the problem that I have a food thing. Like, I like to eat, and I like to binge eat a little bit, and I like to binge eat sweets because I deny myself of them for, 4 or 5 days. And then all of a sudden, like, the weekend comes around, or like a random Wednesday night will come around. And I like these, this is, this is getting a little personal. I like these like microwavable like mug brownies.
Oh, those are amazing.
And then I put a whole bunch of cherry Garcia ice cream over them.
Inside,
What's that?
we shit inside the creamy stuff inside.
Oh yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yes.
Yeah, and then I throw cherry Garcia ice cream on top of it, and I just kind of like mix it together and eat it. And I'll eat like 2 or 3 of those sometimes, like if I'm really like getting after it. And a lot of times I kind of, I earn it, at least, in quotations. Like, I go out and I work hard, but like, it is to a point where it's not like here's like one treat for
Right.
yourself. It is an unhealthy, like,
Well,
it's a little excessive. And I always have to put myself back in the check. It's like, bro, what are you doing here? Like, having that internal dialogue, that healthy internal dialogue, usually saves me. But man, for some people who have not built up that internal dialogue, that do not have a conversation between the two people in the cave, like, like, you feel shame.
yeah.
And then you feel depression, and then you feel like hopelessness, and you feel like you'll never get out of it. And I felt certainly that way as well in my late 20s.
And that's like anything, though. I mean, even if you had a sex addiction, let's just say you were like you're into hookers and stuff. I mean, maybe you are. I don't know, but
Not me.
but you know what I'm saying. If you did that and you had those engagements with those people, I mean, the first thing you're going to have is guilt.
Yeah.
You're gonna if you did drugs, or if you drank, how do you feel after a hangover? I ain't fucking doing that again, right? It's just you get used to that. That high, and then but nobody wants to deal with the low, you know. So I like to stay high without anything. My new motto right now is no bad days, no limits. I don't want to go low again, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just, but back to weight, if you want to go back to that. But it's just a psychological game we're playing right now. I'm trying to go back and forth. And what's really cool, and I have a gentleman and a friend of mine, Dave Rakulia, who is the CEO, owner of American Crew. God bless his heart. The guy's amazing. He's joining the journey with us, and we're documenting. I mean, it's going to be huge as Wade progresses. He's going to have a camera crew, and we have a whole crew to put this documentary together for him. Now, let me get this straight real quickly, though, because Wade is a very private person. Okay, he's not used to people watching him work out or do anything. Okay, and we're going to have some fights. We're going to have discussions, but I'm never going to give up on him. I told him, I'm not charging you, dude. I'm saving your life. I'm not promoting Powerfit, any kind of yoga program, anything, any of that shit. I am using, like we talked earlier, it's like everything you've learned over the years, right? You're putting it in your box. And if I look, I have just gotten so good, and I'm not bragging once again, because it doesn't pay to brag. I could give 2 shits what people think about that kind of stuff, but I'm very good at. I might not be good at relationships, but I'm very good at reading people. And when it comes to what they need for fitness, mental, and all that, I'm an energy person. So if I look at him one day and say, you know what, this dude's only going to do yoga stretches. This day he's only going to do bag work. I'm going to walk him, but I'm not going to go 5 laps. We're going to go 4 laps. Or no, wait a minute. His energy's up. He's pain free today. We're doing 10 fucking laps around the gym. You know what I mean? And that's how I gauge it. I video it, record it, and he does his food logs. So we're really doing it. But now I got a professional. He's a photographer, Dave is, but he's got some cinematographers jumping. I mean, it's going to be so freaking cool. Like I said, Dave is up for an Emmy Award, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But for the Starbrook murder movie on HBO. Now, I would love to get this to go mainstream and inspire and impact millions. Not for my business. Let's get that straight. Because it's not about ego. It's about how many people, you lost 60 pounds. How inspiring is that? That's fucking amazing, right? But think about saving your life. You did it because you want to feel better, right? How about a dude that's got 4 kids that won't be alive in 5 years at a 600-pound pace? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he's on medications, all right? All these medications, I want them to start disappearing. Diabetes, he's got gout, he's got bad knees. He's all these things he has. He's on narco. He takes ibuprofen probably way too much. His liver's probably damaged because of that, you know? So all those years compiled into this body, it's just an inflamed mess, right? Think about it. 6'6", 500. He's lost 12 pounds in the first 2 weeks. It isn't set in the world record, but me and him are going to take one step at a time. He's a little discouraged. I said, dude, you're putting muscle on. In the beginning, we build the muscle, right? And then you start building that little inferno where your metabolism has to get cranked again. By doing all this movement, I got him on a walking program at home now. I said, I want you to continue to do some of the push-ups and stuff like that when you're not with me. But when we're together, we're going to dedicate an hour to an hour and a half. You're going to sweat your ass off, and we're going to hit every category. We're going to hit yoga stuff. We're going to do rehab stuff. We're going to do boxing stuff. We're going to do cardio, ab stuff. I mean, stuff that he's never even done in his life. Okay. And you're going to see videos, not because we're showing off or, hey, look at Powerfit. No, look at Matt Hancock. He's a fucking hero, Superman. No, I try to focus on him and not the superstar guy losing weight, right?
Yeah.
Guy representing our country, the country that is now the fattest and most out of shape, unhealthy country in the world, where our wonderful government, which I won't go into that fucking rabbit hole, doesn't give a shit because they want us. Because you know why? Because disease makes money, right? Being fat makes money. All that shit out there is killing our country. So Wade is not just one of my best friends for life now because we have really connected. He's a sweetheart. But that man represents the United States. Right there, brother. And then you're looking at me going, this motherfucker's right? Because you know what.
Yeah, well, 100%. I think that an unfortunate byproduct of the modern conveniences that we've created was the erosion of the challenge, the erosion of the scarcity. Like that, all that convenience makes people soft, and we're getting pretty soft. And I've heard people say it all the time. I think first time I ever heard it, I was, I listen to a lot of Rogan, so like of course I hear that, he made the point that like we are in the first time in history where homeless people are more often than not overweight and dealing with chronic condition, comorbidities like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, COPD, CHF at alarming rates. And it's because the food that they are able to consume is the cheap, fast, and convenient food that we put into ourselves purposefully, and they're having these negative health consequences. So if you want to see a control group of folks who are eating what you can just go that's getting fried in oil, that's the group of people who are doing it. So like, of course you should be investing in your food if you can, and to your point, it does represent the state that we are in today. There's a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of money to be made, there's a lot of fake health products out there, and difficult for the average person to navigate sometimes without some help, some guidance, some support.
Like Tim Kennedy says, my what do you want to call him, mentor? I love Tim Kennedy.
I love Tim Kennedy. Dude, I've got such a funny Tim Kennedy story.
Go ahead, tell your story. I'll tell you something.
Yeah, so I go out, I help out at this really cool event called Operation Black Site. And the friend mentor of mine, Bedros Koulian, who started the Modern Day Night Project, was putting this event on with Dan Fleischman, and I was able to go out and help support this event. I was kind of, just logistics, helping, work at a couple folks there. Michael Chandler's there, Tim Kennedy's there, a handful of other guys. And so I'm helping Tim Kennedy, and he's running an airsoft, like shooting range, which typically he's usually using live rounds, right? But in this particular case, with this particular demographic of people, we're using these little Glock Sims. And, we're just joking around between stuff. He's shooting me in the butt with this Glock here and there. And I'm laughing. And he goes, "Hey," we had a little time. He goes, "You want to get in a gunfight?" And I'm like, "Do I want to get in a gunfight with Tim Kennedy?" Yeah, 100%. Like, shut up. Like, I don't have to pay for this. Awesome. So I grabbed one and put the, the little goggles on, or whatever, the safety glasses on. He's like, "All right, you start on this side of the building." We're at this big paintball facility in Los Angeles. He goes, "You start on this side, I'll start on this side. We'll meet in the middle, see what happens." And I'm like, "All right." So he's like, "Ready, go." I got a video of this. Maybe I'll post it one day, but I go into this building. He runs around the outside and comes up behind me, pops me 3 times. And then I'm trapped. I'm trapped inside this building. I'm running back and forth. And it's 40 seconds of him just like peeking around corners and giving me, I got him 0 times. He got me so many times, inner thigh, all that. And I tell you what, I don't know the man personally. I do know, I got to have a handful of conversations with him over 3 days, and what a gem of a human being he is.
Oh.
I am so proud to have had that experience, and excited to know that people like him exist.
Yeah, I've got to get down to Austin, because I'd like to go down and see Wes Whitlock's place too, American Rogue Apparel.
Yeah, he just ran a Squire program. Down there. Tim was down there. My buddy Abe from Boise went down there. It was pretty phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hook up with all these guys, because me and Ray Kashkari, I got challenged for that 1,000 push or whatever wants to do with me. So he's another bad dude. But
Ray's a bad man. He is a handsome savage. Former Navy SEAL Ray Kashkari, shout out.
Hi Ray, I love you, buddy. But no, but I'm going to kick your ass, Ray. Still, that's just the way it is. Anyway, and I am taller. By the way. I am taller by 2 inches.
There's no comment here.
Hopefully, he gives us a call and starts chewing our ass. But anyway, but Tim said the military is in a massive deficit of people for like special forces and stuff, because these guys can't pass it. They can't pass it. Even the regular military. These guys are overweight. They can't run 2 miles anymore. They can't do push-ups. I mean, it's sad, But
well, Matt, I'm taking a time check here, man. We're coming right up to the top of the hour right now, which I could sit here all day and chat with you. You're just one of those.
Whatever you got to cut me off.
And we need to. We're gonna have to close out the podcast here. I'd love to have you back on. Whenever it makes sense, maybe toward the back end of Wade's transformation, something along those lines.
And I'll give you a progression as we go.
Yeah,
you'll see it too. So.
I love it, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for your energy. Love getting to know you, my man. And looking forward to the next time that we connect. I will put links to Matt's ecosystem in the notes. And thanking you for joining another episode of the Jake Blanchard Podcast. Cheers.